This is Jim Nailon, liturgical guitarist, and I'm going to share my arrangement of the old hymn, O Lord, I Am Not Worthy. I'll play through it first, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, sometimes that's also called O Sacrament Most Holy. Let's go through it here. It's in the hymnal. It's in the key of B flat. So this is in the key of G. So if you were singing it and playing it as a interlude after it's sung, you could use it with a capo on the 3rd fret, and you'd be in the right key. I'm thinking that this would make a really nice meditation right before communion, when the Eucharistic minute, when the priest is getting all the body and bread passed out to the Eucharistic ministers, and before they come down to start distributing communion. At our church, there's sometimes a minute or two there, and I usually play Dona Nobis, my arrangement of Dona Nobis Pacem, which ties into the last line of the Lamb of God, give us peace. But I'm thinking this would make a nice thing to vary that up. This would make, it's about 70 seconds to play through it, and that would give it enough time to play that. And then in our church, then the music ministers go up and get communion and then come back and start the communion hymn. So anyway, that's how we do it. So let's talk about this. So in the key of G. Now in this, normally I play a G chord with my 3rd finger on the bass note. This one, I always use the 2nd finger. I always use the 2nd finger all the way through it. So G, little finger there on the top G note on the 3rd fret, and then that puts you right in, your little finger's in the right place to get that sus4 on the D7. And then you hammer on from the 3rd finger to the 2nd finger, or 2nd to 3rd fret, and then slide down your little finger up to the 5th fret, and you play this version of a D7 chord with your little finger on the 5th fret of the 1st string, 1st finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and your 3rd finger down here on the 5th fret of the 3rd string. And then lift off the little finger so you have the open 1st string. So, and then the G back to the 2nd finger there on the bass. The 3rd finger plays the top note. Then just like again, the hammer on first, open on the 2nd string, 0 to 1, and then back to this G again. And then your 1st finger is going to play the B bass, the 2nd fret of the 5th string. Little finger gets the 3rd fret of the 1st string for the G. And your 2nd finger drops into the F sharp there, the 2nd fret of the 1st string. And you notice your 3rd finger is all ready to go over the C bass. Now we're at measure 6. And then you simply slide up. So 2nd finger and then the open 1st string. Slide up a fret on your 3rd finger to this C sharp diminished. Put your 2nd finger down on the 3rd fret of the 3rd string, and the first finger down on the second fret of the second string, and the open first string, and then you're going to just slide up to the G over D. You got the open bass. Slide up on your first finger to the third fret, but don't get it right up next to the fret, because you're going to need to tuck your second finger on that same fret on the first string. So and then slide back one. Now you got your second finger. Slide back one fret on your second finger to the D chord, and your second finger there, and then you slide up. You slide on your third finger from the third to the seventh fret, and then pluck the first finger on the fifth fret of the first string. And then to keep the glissando going, we're going to do something a little different here on this G chord. We're going to slide down the first finger. It's going to go from the fifth fret to the third fret of the first string. And then kind of bend your wrist just a little bit and get the bass with your second finger. So you're playing your G this way. You can see that. So I got my second finger here, my first finger here up on the melody note. But it makes it a nice, easy change. It's easier than going any other way. You'd have to break that melody line, and this is some of the nicest fingering I've come across, been able to put together for a piece. It's just very, very smooth fingering, and then that D7. It's actually a D7 over A. Actually, it's just a D over A, but then first finger on the second fret of the third string, third finger on the fourth fret of the fourth string. And then again, just like to start, these next two measures are just the same almost. On the G, measure 9, measure 10. Now I don't do the slur here on this note. I pluck it. And then I do a little glissando up to a grace. That glissando and grace note are to indicate that you're not just sliding up to the note, you're sliding and then plucking it when you get there. So starting third line. So that's at D7 again, a different voicing of the D7, but it's the one up here, same one you used, measure 3. But now you're going to slide on the third finger on go from the C to the D, and you can get some vibrato in that, and then give a little glissando going back down to keep as you go to that bass in the open second string. You can make something out of that. That's a nice little moment there, I guess you'd call it. So and going into the last line right now, measure 13. Now the bass run, in measure 5, the bass run was half notes. It was G, B, C, C sharp, D. Now we're going to have a full bass run. We're going to add a quarter note here at first, or in measure 13. So we add, so we got the G, and the A in the bass. Now the B in the bass, like we had. Now up to the C in the bass. Slide up to just like we did up above. And then, now we go to this G over D. Instead of sliding up on your first finger, just bring your second finger over here. It's going to position you correctly for that D7. Second finger, third finger, and then slide down on your third finger into a D7. So you're going to pluck the first and third strings and the fourth string bass. So I'd never done this slide before, but it works nice in here. I came up with that little ornament there. So you got the D7, and you play the C on your first finger, slide on your first finger from the first to the third fret, and then you're going to switch from your second and third fingers playing these strings to your fourth and third fingers. So you go, and that puts your little finger ready to come down into that G chord. Oh, well, there I do play the G with the third finger in the bass. Yeah, because we're going to do this little C hammer-on. So forget what I said about never using the third finger in the bass. Here we do it at the very end. So the D7. And the trick in making this sound right is not to deaden the second string when you put the fourth and the third fingers down here. You want that note to ring, so you can still hear that note ring when you play these down. If you don't, it'll sound broken. So try to keep from hitting that note. When I first came up with this idea, I had trouble getting it, but then I realized that was the trick to get it to play smoothly. And then you slide down the G, and then a 64th note up to a dotted 16th, and then the G, and then real softly a quarter note afterwards. So you've got a little retard there. So in that last line, it sounds like this, and you want to really you want to make something of these bass runs here. Measure, especially the one measure 13 and 14 into measure 15. So notice how I gave some vibrato to those bass notes. There's a little retard there at the end also indicated. So anyway, that's all I have for that. I think that's going to make a lovely little meditation at our church. I don't know how you handle communion at your church, but it make a nice little prelude anytime. But it's just a very delicate piece with fingering that allows you to keep the legato going all the way through. I'll humbly say I'm a little proud of that fingering. I've made some corrections in it to smooth it out from my original, and I think it's just as nice a fingering job as I've ever done. So I hope you enjoy that. It doesn't need to go fast. It can be, kind of rubato even. I think you noticed I didn't keep a strict rhythm through it. It's got a lot of emotion in there. It's an old melody, and with that, especially when you get to that C sharp diminished, that adds some intensity there. So I hope you enjoy that. That's all I have on this piece. Look for more arrangements on liturgicalguitarist.com. I pray God blesses your playing, and I wish you peace.